in, I don't know what it was, 1990. I was very privileged to get to do that. And it was impressive seeing, he was on the cover of Time magazine for turning around a belief that we had, that you couldn't change heart disease. So that was pretty impressive. And I've also been at True North, where Luke has been, and seeing the changes that people would. I remember somebody coming from Alaska, 19 years old. He said he was a junk food addict. He was 19 and he was at this place. He just wanted to retrain his eating. And I've seen so many people come and go, and they had really turned it around. So that's very inspiring. Also, of course, the Adventist health studies are excellent because they're over 90,000 people. They're over decades. They're all pretty healthy. They don't drink coffee or drink alcohol. They get some exercise, but some are carnivores, not much carnivore, but or some are vegetarian, fish eaters, and vegans. And the vegans have been coming out ahead in a lot of respects. So that was inspiring too.
Yeah, agree.
Okay.
No, I was going to say exactly the same thing. Dean Ornish's research, what Dr. Esselstyn's done, I know he was on just before. It's
Yeah.
somewhat of a privilege, somewhat frightening to be following up. A talk given by Ornish and Esselstyn and T. Colin Campbell. But yeah, I think those studies, also the Adventist health studies as well, I think are really helpful. And probably the other thing too, I'd say, is even the stuff that Dan Buettner has done around the blue zones. I think looking at, I know that's not research per se, but it's sometimes it's the stories and things like that that people really connect with, and just sort of showing that around the world with different genetics and quite different lifestyles. In some ways, there's the commonality of them all being, some of them are 100% plant-based or mostly plant-based in their diet, and in that contributing to their longevity and health.
In your experience, what are some of the key factors that contribute to long-term adherence to a whole food plant-based diet?
Definitely that community aspect, I think, as Vesanto talked about so beautifully before. I think it's hard to be sort of an island, I suppose, of health amongst this sort of ocean of chronic disease, and everyone else in society perhaps swimming in a different direction, if you like. So I think it's really helpful if you can manage to get at least the people that you live with on board. It's been really helpful to me that most of my family has changed over to this way of eating as well, and that there's been friends and even colleagues now. We've got a couple of the other GPs at my clinic now that have gone plant-based, or mostly plant-based most of the time. So yeah, having that support, I think, is really important for people to be able to maintain this long term, because we're social creatures, and our support networks are really important to us. And so if everyone's doing something completely different from what we're trying to do, it's difficult to swim against that.
Oh, another thing, this Becoming Vegan Comprehensive is one that really helps people. It's fat, big fat book, but it tells people exactly what to do in terms of all the different nutrients. And so that's a textbook in Taiwan, in the US, in Canada. And it can really help with the questions that people have. And then they kick the protein, this one got to #1 for sustainability, but it also has really good recipes, including the one that my friend that didn't want me to tell her about nutrition, her recipe's in here for what's it called? It's a tofu marinade anyway. So if you just get some good recipes, and people only need 10 recipes, like they don't need to be a real gourmet. Well, some people like being gourmets, and some like recipes that only have 5 things in them and you can do in 10 minutes. So there's the whole spectrum. I'm more the 10-minute person. My co-author Brenda Davis is the fancy gourmet person. So together we tend to do a pretty good mix of things. And so if you just get your little 10 recipes that you really like, then you're set to go. I also would like to put a plug in for PCRM and Neil Barnard's work, because I find that he's really got a good handle on doing things with legal issues and getting in there about food guides and taking the, dietary guidelines group, making an impact there. I mean, he's not 100% successful yet, but he keeps going and keeps going and keeps helping people. So I really appreciate the work done by that group, because a lot of it is political, and I appreciate, that they figure out the practical stuff, but they also keep chugging away on that.
Yeah, they've been publishing some fantastic research as well. I knew there was something that I was forgetting when I was listing off
Oh, yeah.
those studies and things, and that PCRM and Neil Barnard have been doing some great publications with a low-fat, whole food, plant-based diet of late. So definitely they would be other ones that I'd say are very inspiring.
In the last panel, where I was talking to Cobalt Esselstyn and T. Colin Campbell, and I asked them whose work should we be looking at. That's exactly who they mentioned, was Neil Barnard. So
Yeah.
you share
Yeah.
your
Got
perspective.
there eventually.
So you mentioned nutrients. How do you address concerns about the potential for nutrient deficiencies on a plant-based diet?
Well, when I have clients, I do a nutritional analysis. So I have some clients that are like going through pregnancy, and they're from India, and their mother said, "You cannot be vegan, no way." And it really helps to tell their mother-in-law or their doctor, yes, I am getting all the nutrients. I have some people that are way underweight, kind of orthorexic, and you can show them, like, you have to get more calories. It's just not working. So I help people tweak things, and people don't always get it right away. Some people are over, and they're worried they're just not getting enough. I'm not getting enough protein. You show them, hey, you're getting 170% the protein you need for your body weight and height and age and so on. And so it is something we've got to learn about. Like, we have to learn some things about it. And of course, the standard diets aren't helping people be healthy either. But when we're switching to plant-based, we just do need to learn some stuff.
So we have about 4 or so minutes left. So I'd like to give each of you the opportunity for like a final word. What gives you hope for the future, with in the context of bringing health about? So Vesanto, if you want to go first.
Well, when I did an event about climate change, and I've done it for a few groups now, I was reading about the Eat Lancets and the UN's Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. And we really need to keep our climate emissions down to the 1.5 degrees Celsius, or we're going to be in real trouble. Like, it's going to be tragic in the world if we keep having the effects of climate change. And so dietary choice is a big part of that. It used to be that only 7% of the news articles would even talk about climate change. They just said, oh, you should get a different vehicle, electric one, don't fly as much, whatever. But diet is equally as important. And it is going to be a very different world if we can't limit the sustainability aspect, and keep the global warming down. So that's one of the main things. And have fun with it. Like, do enjoy, because there's great food to be had on plant-based.
Great. Thank you. You, Luke?
Yeah, I think just looking, we've talked about it a bit today, like where things have come from and where they are now, and just that even people understand what plant-based is, and all these countries that are shifting their dietary guidelines. And, like I said, at my clinic, you know, that's half of the GPs there now that are plant-based, because these other two have changed. And so, you know, we're doing, with Doctors for Nutrition, we're doing some talks at a GP education conference in Christchurch in August, and we have 4 sessions that we're going to be talking to people, you know, other GPs, about being plant-based. And all of these things, you know, even when we were busy doing this research and everything, just wouldn't have been possible. So I think we've come a long way, and everyone's contributing. You know, you had 2 incredible, you know, luminaries, pioneers of this movement on just before with you, and from, you know, the work that's been done from them, the work that's ongoing from everyone else in this space, and everyone who's part of this conference, telling people, you know, what they've learned, and sharing that with people. I think we can get there, and we can achieve great things.
Great. Well, thank you so much for that. So we're gonna conclude for the evening, and really appreciate your time, and the audience who it is. I don't even know what day it is. It's Thursday at 9:30. We've got you know, 163 people staying up late to
Well,
listen.
they're at lunchtime in New Zealand, apparently.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. Well, the people, yeah. So it's lunchtime. I don't even know what time it is. Where, you know, how many hours ahead is New Zealand?
I don't know. I can't remember at the top of my head what the hours are, but
He told me it was his lunch break. Yeah,
something strange like that. Yeah.
around that. Yeah, and
Uh,
we're 3 hours behind Pacific time. So
Great. Well, thank you for all the work that you guys do. If we can unmute the audience, please, so they can share their appreciation.
thank you. Thank you.
so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very, very much.
Great.
Awesome.
Thank you again. I really appreciate it.
You're a good interviewer. You're fun.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed it. I enjoyed talking to you guys. You guys made it really easy.